Okay, now that we have our sky and the base colors to our forest, we're ready to go ahead and start adding details to the foreground. I'm going to start by adding a few larger trees here using a mixture of blue, leaf green, and black. It makes a nice gray color. And I'm going to lay in some heavier trunks here. This is a misty day, so there's a lot of moisture in the air, and these trees in nature would naturally absorb this moisture and be a darker color. This picture, there's not much sunlight in it at all, so there's an absence of any highlights. I'm just using a regular old flat brush to lay in these colors. It's a very dark color, and I'm looking for that against the lighter background. It adds a nice contrast. And on this side, same colors, blue, leaf green, and black, but I'm adding a little more black to the mix because I just want it a little darker on this side for a nice contrast. If you're just joining me, this is the first painting in a holiday series. I'll be doing a new painting each and every week through Christmas in the spirit of the holidays. And I'm going to add some smaller trees here in the base, in the foreground. I'm now going with a round brush to add some of the smaller trees. Maybe have one here hanging right over the road. When I'm done, these will have beautiful fall foliage on them, but right now we're just doing the trunks and the branches. If your paint doesn't want to come off your brush easily, then I just add water, a little water to the mix, and I find that it flows right off the brush really easily, just very smoothly. Add a little water, go back over it, and it really flows off. I'm just going to add some branches here and there, some little twiggies and trunks, just like you'd find. Now I'm using an even finer brush with a very small, fine tip for the smaller branches. My paint here is really watered down, so it'll flow off smoothly. If you're not sure how branches look in your mind's eye, just peep out your window and chances are there's a tree of some kind for you to study. Basically, I'm just adding these little branches at various widths and lengths to give it a more natural color, or I'm sorry, a more natural look. And of course, these branches intertwine. If you're doing this at home, then you'll have a lot more time than I do for the purposes of this video, but you'll get the gist. Again, when your paint starts to dry on your brush, just add water and it will flow like wine. And using a much larger brush, I'm beginning to add some fall foliage. And this is just Christmas green and rockwood red. And I'm dabbing my brush right onto the canvas. Now, don't mix these colors together on your canvas because you'll get kind of an olive gray color. That's not what we're looking for. But rather just dab your brush into each color and then put them right on the canvas. It just gives an indication of some beautiful leaves. You don't want to cover up all your darker colors underneath, your shadow colors. Just dab it in here and there. All over. I'm pressing the brush right into the tooth of the canvas, and I twist my brush one way and it'll produce a little more red, the other way it'll produce a little more green. It's just these two colors right on my brush, and the same two colors I'm adding to the foreground, just some underbrush. Let's add a splash of red here. Maybe this is a sweet gum tree. Just rockwood red. and you just tap it to soften the colors a little bit. I rarely even clean my brush when I'm doing these tree scenes like this. Just tapping it softens that color out. And we'll come on the side and do the exact same thing. Same two colors, Christmas green, rockwood red. And you can find these colors in acrylics in just about any store if you have an art store near you. If you don't, then you're welcome to order them from me. I sell them individually and also in bulk as a set. One advantage from ordering from me is that I sell them for pennies on the dollar, so I can give you a good deal. Just going all over. Again, don't cover all your shadow color underneath. You want to leave some of that dark area showing forth, because it really makes your picture pop, the difference between light and dark. Now using these colors, sunburst orange, light beige, and orange twist. Again, these are all acrylic colors. I'm not even going to clean my brush. I'm just going to go to this tree and start dabbing on. Same technique. I twist my brush at different angles and I get different variants of colors. Darker in areas, brighter in other areas. All three of these colors are on my brush at the same time. They're just not mixed together. Otherwise you'd lose some of your contrast. And it's the varying colors that makes your picture so beautiful. And we'll go on this side and do the same thing. Same three colors. Don't overdo it with the color. I know when you're having fun, it's easy to get carried away and you just want to do your whole painting this way. But you can easily kill a painting that way just by overdoing it. So you really sometimes got to force yourself to stop, just to put down the brush. Sometimes it's helpful to back away from your painting and take a breath or two and see if you really need to add more or if it's good just to leave it as it is. You see I'm getting lighter up top. It's amazing what you can do with just one brush in a painting. Your friends and family will be amazed. I add that same color to my underbrush, because believe it or not, you have these beautiful fall colors down on the ground as well. If you don't believe me, just go take a walk through the woods someday and you'll see what I mean. Now I'm back to use my fine tip brush with burgundy. This takes a little patience. I'm just adding a few red leaves to the mix, just dabbing them in. If you're trying this at home, you'll probably need to add a tiny bit of water to the mix just so it'll come off your brush easier. And this is coral. It's a nice pink color. I just want to add a dash to that. And come back on this side and add some more. You can use rockwood red or burgundy, maroon, whatever red colors you have will really make your picture pop. Now I'm going to go back in and brighten some things even further using just plain bright yellow. Again, if you have a hard time finding these acrylic colors, in your store, then just send me an email. Say, Brad, I'd like to order from you. Send me some paints and let me know which colors you want. I can send you a whole list of just literally hundreds and hundreds of colors to choose from. Really, if you're just getting started, you can make a beautiful painting with just really just 5 or 6 colors if you know how to mix them. Now let's go back to our road. Start adding some details to it. Make it look like a well-worn road that leads through this old autumn forest. And I'm just using the same colors that I have already on my palette that I use for my leaves. Sunburst, orange, orange twist, yellows, just mix it together. I'm painting right over this deep shadow color that I had on the road before. And when it dries, some of that shadow is going to show through and give it just a really neat effect. I'm using another flat brush. This is about a 3/4 inch flat brush. And onto this, I go right back over with my original road color, which is called Camel. If you don't have Camel at home, then you can get the same color with a mixture of yellow, light brown, and a good bit of white. Now I want to do something with this shadow area here, so I'm going to add some grass to it. Here in Texas, we call this stuff monkey grass. That might not be the actual name of it, but it's this long strand of clumped grass. And I'm using my round brush, putting in some Christmas green with a little mixture of camel. Really just what I have left on my palette. Just mixing it all together. And I just scribble it into the canvas to mix it with the background. It's a perfect way of blending. There's very little paint on my brush, just enough to scribble in. And I leave that shadow area underneath, and it just gives it a real neat indication. Maybe there's an old rotting log down there, or could be anything. And I'll add the same mixtures up here. I've got some orange twist still left in my brush, some yellows and greens. Just mix it right there on the canvas. Make some beautiful colors. And I'll do the same on this side. Now it's time to lay in some finer shadow areas on this road, really bring the road down into the painting. And I'm using the same mixture of blue, leaf green, and black, really watered down. And I'm using my fine brush because I don't want broad strokes here at all. I just want the indication here and there of some shadows. And be sure not to cover your leaves or the grass on the side of the road. You want to do the opposite. You want to lay the shadow under the leaf so it'll look like your road is really grounded. And my favorite tool of all, my finger, just smudging it and blending it all together. Of course, we come back on this side and do the same thing, just subtle little lines here and there. Not looking for broad strokes, no deep shadows here, just little indications here and there under the leaves. Alright, now let's add some old ruts to this road to show that it's a well-traveled road. I'm using lavender. In the acrylic world, this is called lilac. And you can get this color by mixing red, blue, and white. A little more red than blue. Just play with it at home to get the right mixture that's suitable to you. And by adding this color, we bring the sky color down to the base. And it brings it all together, which makes a beautiful composition. And I'm adding a good mixture of water to this to give it a good blending. I just scribble it right in there onto the canvas and let it dry, and it dries lighter. And again, going back to my fine tip brush, putting in some red. This is called Christmas red. Putting some leaves right over on top of the road, and adding some oranges and yellows here and there. Just have fun with it, but don't overdo it. Now let's bring this painting together by adding an old fence. I see some posts on both sides of the road here. This was probably once a majestic fence, but through time and weather it's just now dilapidated and falling down. I'm using my flat brush. Same mixture of black, blue, and green that I use for my tree trunks. Adding some planks here. I better go overhanded so I don't block the shot here. We're not looking for anything real clean and majestic here. Like I said, these are old rotting fence posts. I grew up in East Texas, and a lot of the old farmers there, they just use whatever supplies they could get their hands on. That might be just literally an old branch or two, and they just stick them in the ground and tie them together with twine or baling wire, whatever they had. And a lot of those old fences are still standing to this day, 100 years later. I'm going to add some weeds here with my fan brush, just a mixture of yellow and Christmas green. If you'd like to own this painting, then I'd love for you to have it. If you're a subscriber, I will give it to you for a good deal, about 80% off, just for being a subscriber, because I appreciate you watching. So if you'd like to own it, or any of my paintings, just send me an email, let me know, and I'll send it right to your doorstep. Like I said, I'll be doing a painting in the holiday spirit each and every week from now through Christmas. And these generally go pretty fast, so I'll do 2 or 3 in the same vein if you're interested. Just send me an email, let me know you'd like to have it. And with that, I think I'll go ahead and sign it. I hope you've enjoyed watching as much as I enjoyed painting. As always, thank you. I'll see you next time.